Hello there, I am Ashmanix, and in this video I want to talk about my experience with Lesson 2 of the Drawabox online course. This is the third video in my Drawabox series. If you haven't done so, then please give the other videos a look. I'll leave a link to the playlist in the description below. This lesson goes over techniques for drawing texture in constructional drawing. It's split into 3 sections: drawing organic forms with contour lines, beginning to get an understanding of texture, and an introduction to constructional drawing. I quite enjoyed this section. It goes over drawing organic sausage objects and adding contour ellipses and curves to give them 3D form. It was a little difficult for me because in the beginning I would draw a sausage shape in 2D without thinking about its 3D form, and then think of the 3D form when adding the ellipses or curves, which was wrong. I had to think of them as 3D shapes when drawing the outlines, which made it a lot easier when you then had to add contour curves, as you already had the 3D form in mind. I did have to redo one of the pages for contour ellipses, and this was definitely my fault, as I should have practiced my ellipses drawing more beforehand before doing the homework, and I ended up drawing them badly. For me, this was the hardest part of the course so far. The homework asked for 2 different things: texture detail and dissected sausages with different textures. This was extremely hard for me personally, because one of the things I've always struggled with was adding more detail to drawings. In the past, when I would draw, I would be quite happy to do outlines and draw in basic details, such as shadow on a face or some basic folds on clothes, but I never added texture detail. It's like there's an inherent mental barrier of laziness stopping me from adding more than a basic level of detail when drawing, and the texture detail exercise was my kryptonite. I'll be honest, when I first read the homework instructions, a part of me was ready to give up. This was the first point in the course, for me, where I felt genuinely uncomfortable trying to complete a section of homework. After watching and reading the homework instructions, I decided to take a break and come back to it the next day. This allowed me to relax mentally and come at the exercise with a fresh, and hopefully more willing, mind. I remembered that the author of the Drawabox course's handle was uncomfortable, and there was a reason why they chose that name. This course was meant to make me feel uncomfortable at points, and I had to learn to be okay with that. For me to develop, I had to push myself beyond my limits. I ended up completing the texture detail exercise, but it was difficult. Luckily, the whole point of both texture exercises was to get you to start thinking about how to draw texture, and not how good you are at it. It was interesting to find that you're looking at shadow shapes, and that's what you should be drawing, rather than drawing the texture shapes themselves. It was really helpful, though I still did a bad job of it. The construction section of the course was where things started to come together. The homework here was about drawing different forms together, standard forms and organic forms in 3D space. For standard form intersections, you took the boxes, cones and sphere shapes drawn in previous homeworks and were putting them into one place, all together in different orientations. The idea was to overlap them in 3D space and mark out the overlaps. I think personally, I find 3D placement a little easier to do compared to other drawing skills, and so, though this was hard, it felt a little easier than the texture detail homework. For the organic form intersections, I had to draw sausage-like organic forms on top of each other, and add line weight and shadow to show overlap shadow areas. I quite enjoyed this part, as there was something relaxing about drawing organic shapes over each other, compared to the hard-lined boxes and cone overlaps I had to do for the standard form intersections. For me, this lesson demonstrated taking the basic skills and concepts introduced in previous lessons, and using them to create more complex forms. The introduction to texture detail was interesting, if very daunting. I'm a little proud of myself to have gotten over the mental hurdle. The last pieces of construction started getting me thinking of the idea of constructing objects from simpler forms, which I believe lesson 3 will go into more detail about. This was a tough lesson. I had to read and submit 1 page of work, the organic forms with ellipses, due to the ellipses being drawn badly. I learned a lesson from my feedback for this lesson. I hadn't been practicing the techniques learned in previous lessons and was just rushing on to the next homework section. I decided to make sure I spend some time doing drawing exercises before starting a section of homework, and I started watching lessons and then doing the homework the next day to let the information sink in a little more and pace myself better. After that, I got the pass from the Drawabox team, and I'm now looking forward to lesson 3. Do join me next time, where hopefully I would have completed lesson 3 of the course. But for now, I am Ashmanix, this is Ashmanix Draws, and I'll see you next time.